All right, national championship game tonight. Rico has a blitz. I think Michigan wins. Rico says, not so fast, my friend. David, I don't know what type of music we have. Do we have a little Purple Rain? Some Prince nonsense, perhaps?
No, just regular football.
Something. Oh! Woo! Let's talk about it. Rico Beard.
All right, Michael.
Yes.
David. Reasons why the Washington Huskies will be crowned national champions tonight. Reason number one.
Michigan didn't show up.
No.
Okay.
Just saw the update. Running back Dylan Johnson for Washington is expected to play. He's one of the 25 best running backs in the country.
And they're facing a front seven that no one in the Pac-12 has. What does it matter? You can have Barry Sanders back there. How are they going to move that Michigan front?
Okay.
I'm asking.
No.
Point, counterpoint.
David, you want to say something?
No, I agree with him.
Okay.
The defensive line for Michigan, I don't see it.
I secede my time to the senator from Michigan.
Here's your counterpoint. Because now it's Michigan. You played against Jalen Milroe and that bad Alabama line. Hold on. Now, you have to pick your poison on defense. They were able to blitz Alabama because they could. If you bring the heat for Washington, now it's the secondary is going to get one-on-one coverage. Washington in the first half of games, the percentage of them throwing the ball in the first half of the games is?
No, go ahead.
67%, which means they jump ahead of you early. And in the second half, do you know what the percentage of passing the ball is?
Tell us, Rico.
Well, I was trying to build up, Mike, but I see you don't want to play my game.
It's
50-50.
But if they don't get the lead early in the game against Michigan, which I don't think they can, it won't matter.
Let me just suggest one thing.
Okay.
What Rico's saying on surface is all true. The problem is nobody gets a lead on Michigan, not a more than one score lead.
Okay.
How is Washington going to slow down Michigan and equalize TOP?
Interesting that you said that, Mike, because I've seen an example of how Washington slowed down a team with a quarterback and with a top running back and even some good wide receivers. And they not only did it once, they did it twice. It's the University of Oregon.
That's a point for Rico. No, it is. I believe Oregon to this day is still one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the country. UW beat them twice.
All right.
That's a point for Rico. I can't argue that.
And with that Oregon game, for the last 3 of the last 4 games, and including tonight's game, Washington has been the underdog. They were the underdog against Washington State. No, they were the underdog against Oregon State. They were the underdog against Oregon. And they were underdogs against Texas. They won all of those games. They're used to the chip on the shoulder. They're used to the disrespect. They're used to all. Oregon was a 9.5-point favorite in the Pac-12 championship. Didn't mean anything. So they're used to the disrespect, and nobody thinks that they're going to win.
David? From an attitude standpoint, I still give Michigan the edge because they're playing the role of the aggrieved. And they are as dialed in as any team in America. Now, Washington, you're right, chip on the shoulder, but nothing compares to what we've seen coming out of Ann Arbor. These young men are convinced they've been done wrong.
And they are focused on...
Even though...
Yes.
They have done something wrong.
It's an interesting dilemma, isn't it?
Now, thanks to the bowl game, this number has now changed. Michigan's defense, please don't get me wrong, that's a great defense they have. That front seven, phenomenal. They get the job done. But you have to wonder about the numbers because everybody talks about, well, look at the Washington defense. They're ranked 90th. Thanks to the bowl game, this has changed. Michigan, you know how many top 50 offenses they've faced this year?
Michigan?
Yeah.
2?
It's now 3, thanks to the bowl game.
Okay.
Penn State entered the chat. So Penn State, UNLV, and Alabama. That's it. One Big Ten school in the top 50. So, you know how many how many Washingtons faced this year? And maybe this is why their defense doesn't look as good.
7?
8.
All right. So let me say this. If you wanted to build a case, I will just tell you the only way I think UW wins is an absolute shootout, like a TCU-style game. Because here is something factually, David, I can't argue. Who is the best quarterback Michigan has seen?
Milroe.
he can't throw a forward pass.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right. Milroe will take deep shots, but he has no processing ability, short to intermediate, no accuracy. Drew Aller stinks. McCord was so good, he opted for Syracuse. Is it baby Tua? Talia, is that the best QB you really faced?
Maybe.
So Rico has a point in that now you are going to get, allegedly, the best of the best.
But on the other side of that.
But I still think trying to beat a team one-dimensional, you're never getting anywhere against Michigan doing that.
See, and that's the thing. But on the other side, Washington hasn't faced a NFL scheme-type defense. That's what Michigan's defense is. They are running an NFL-type defense.
Okay,
Phoenix hasn't seen that.
Now, David brings up a point. I agree with him. I think from a coordinator standpoint, Sharon Moore and Jesse Minter are elite. I think Grubb is elite, but it's Kalen DeBoer's offense. I still believe Michigan's biggest advantage in the post-cheating era is they have legitimate – I mean, Sharon Moore's a head coach. He's probably your next head coach. And Jesse Minter is going to be a DC in the NFL before long, i.e. whenever Mike McDonald gets a head coaching job. No, truthfully, David, I mean that.
Speaking of quarterbacks, you talk about them. Michigan faced Jalen Milroe, best quarterback. Oregon, you got the Arizona quarterback.
His name, come on now, it's Fafita.
Caleb Williams, number 1 pick of the draft.
Yep.
Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Bo Nix. Oh, wait, Bo Nix again. They've seen quarterbacks. So,
hey, what about Sam Levitt?
And for everybody saying, well, you know, Blake Corum in the running game, I give you once again Bucky Irvins of Oregon, who I think is a better running back. They contained them. They kept them from scoring. They were able to run between the 20s, and then after that, it stopped. You want a couple more?
Yeah, I'm here for all of it. Okay. It's point counterpoint. Okay. This is great.
You're looking at the best offensive line in football this year.
Oh, the Joe Moore Award winner.
Yes.
Is this where you tell us how many sacks they've given up?
Well, you want to give it to them?
11.
Thank you. And then on top of that, if you're Michigan, you pick your point. If you bring the heat, Penix gets the ball out within 3 seconds.
Here's what I'll tell you. If you drop your quarterback 40 times against U of M, he's getting dropped at least 5 times. I have to see it to believe it that offensive line against Michigan's front and their variable alignments and coverage and blitzes, you're right in what you're saying. But Rico, if they're one-dimensional.
See, once again, Dylan Johnson playing tells me I don't think they're going to be one-dimensional because that's what gets lost in the wash.
David just flipped you off. David, over to you.
How healthy is Dylan Johnson, though?
David, he's been injured all season long. The same guy, the same injury he has now, same injury he had against Oregon.
Correct.
Same injury he had against Texas. Oh, by the way, the quarterbacks that they played, I forgot. Quinn Ewers. Texas is back.
Hey,
add that to the list.
Out. You can't hold that against me.
No, I'm not.
They won the Big 12 and made the playoff.
Mike,
now.
I'm saying they played quarterbacks. They played teams that can run the ball.
Where? Okay, so hold on. David, you ready? Am I allowed to ask him a question in the point counterpoint?
I say yes.
Go ahead. This is point counterpoint.
Where does J.J. McCarthy rank amongst the quarterbacks UW has faced?
See, I don't know. That's a flag on that one because he would be the worst quarterback.
How dare you?
He would be the worst quarterback they
No,
faced.
He wouldn't. Come on, that's not fair.
You're
not being fair.
No.
Okay, Quinn Ewers is worse?
He would not be the worst quarterback. Wow.
He's better than DJU.
Okay, all right. You're going to I was thinking of the one he just
Cam
mentioned.
Ward
He
is
didn't
hit or
mention
miss.
DJU.
Cam Ward is a turnover machine. Cam Ward's hit or miss,
Fair.
but then again, you play for Washington State. They got homeless people at wide receiver. It's a bad.
Okay, Bo Nix, Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, and Quinn Ewers all ranked higher than JJ.
David, your thoughts?
I'm not saying he's the worst.
What's his name?
But he's the worst.
The Arizona
Noah Fafita.
Fafita.
Put some, as Birdman once said, put some respect on my name.
Noah Fafita.
And I ain't going to talk about it no more.
And finally,
Noah Fafita.
And finally, they have not one, not two, but 3 NFL wide receivers in Odunze, McMillan, and Polk. McMillan didn't play at all. He got injured, I think, before the MSU game or during the MSU game. He was out for most of the season. He is now back, but Polk and Odunze, I believe together were like 2 of the top 15 receivers. The only one that you faced that good was Marvin Harrison.
Okay. Little point counterpoint. Rico making a case the game's worth watching if you want to operate a Spite store. If you're a Michigan fan and you thought, hey, it's a layup, which I feel like you losing this game would take some effort by you. That is your national title, point counterpoint.